Breakfast in Singapore, lunch in Kuala Lumpur, and back in Singapore for dinner. This will not just be a pipe dream once the cross-border high-speed rail service comes online.
Now, this is expected to take place in 2026. Leaders from both sides of the causeway signed a milestone Memorandum of Understanding on their project in Putrajaya, Malaysia today, laying out the details on how it will be run, regulated and financed. Kenneth Lim with more.
It's been described as a game changer. The high-speed rail is set to slash travel time between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore to 90 minutes. And 3 years after plans were initially announced, the leaders have taken yet another step to bring the project up to speed. The 350-kilometre route will run from Jurong East to Bandar Malaysia, with 6 stations in between. Both countries agreed that there will be 3 services: an express service between KL and Singapore, a shuttle service between Singapore and Iskandar Puteri in Johor, and a domestic route within Peninsular Malaysia. One operator will run the Malaysian domestic route, while an international operator will take care of the cross-border services. Now, Singapore will not be involved in the running of the Malaysian domestic route. Authorities say this distinction is to cater to different needs of different passenger profiles and give Malaysia the flexibility to run its own domestic service. Still, there will be common customs, immigration and quarantine facilities at 3 locations: Kuala Lumpur, Iskandar Puteri and Singapore. Passengers crossing the border will only have to be checked at one location when they depart and not at the point of arrival. So commuters won't have to go through multiple checks. The MOU signing was witnessed by both Prime Ministers, who welcomed the project and the 2026 timeline.
In fact, this is a very ambitious timetable, because even for our MRT lines in Singapore, which are much less ambitious projects, they take typically 12 to 15 years from inception to service. And this one is a high-speed rail. Cross-border project on a much bigger scale, nearly 400 kilometers long, with many more components to work out. But we have to get this right, because the HSR will bring our 2 countries together and change the way each of us thinks of the other.
HSR today signifies Malaysia and Singapore's firmest commitment to this iconic project. It is clear, very clear, that both sides are deeply committed to stay the course for a more comprehensive partnership.
The project is the first in the region, and Mr. Najib said both sides were pleased it has received much attention, both domestically and abroad.
Various countries have offered to share their experience and expertise in the project. This HSR project is a reflection of the future of Malaysia and Singapore, an area of growing prosperity and affluence, a new lifestyle, in fact, to be enjoyed by both Malaysians and Singaporeans and visitors alike. Imagine a 90-minute train ride will get you across to Singapore and vice versa.
There's a lot at stake, and it's a massive investment for both countries, in terms of resources, in terms of the financing, and in terms of the organizational focus and energies which will be necessary. It demonstrates not just how close our 2 countries are, but also how much we want to do things together, so that we can cooperate and prosper together, dealing with each other as equals, focusing on the larger strategic picture and on the win-win benefits.
Construction works are expected to begin around 2018. The Land Transport Authority is also calling a tender for engineering studies on the Singapore stretch. Following the MOU, both sides are expected to sign a legally binding agreement at the end of the year, something Mr. Najib said Malaysia is looking forward to. Prime Minister Lee added that while the broad direction has been set, both countries will now need to work closely together on many of the joint decisions. Kenneth Lim, Channel News Asia, Putrajaya, Malaysia.